everyone. We are here together on a Saturday before all of the holidays are moving on. Um, Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa's coming up. That can be a tough time for some, or it's just very up and down for all of us. So, what we're going to do today is focus on a practice that's really about rolling with it. um, Giving ourselves permission to be okay with being, I don't know, feeling guilty or feeling anger or feeling sadness, sorrow, or disappointment. The beauty of the yoga practice and the teachings is that they teach us to move on. Nothing is permanent, remember, right? So that's one of the Four Noble Truths. That nothing is permanent and that sort of what goes around comes around. So that all those adages around what we put in, we get back out are there because they're true, right? So we're going to do, we actually are going to roll around a little bit to start. We'll do some hip work, but the reminders that I will be offering will be reminders around allowing whatever arises to arise and acknowledging it. And if there's something we can control about that, like the position of our leg, great. And if there's not, we move away from it. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you don't need to roll with that. Take your hand off the stove. If you are a farmer and you must get the crops in and it's blazing hot out, there's some things you can do to alleviate, but you can't eliminate necessarily the impact of that heat. But you're a farmer and this is what goes on in the world of farming. I mean, it's not the biggest problem, it's not the smallest problem, but just two kind of examples of that. All right, so we're actually going to start on our backs, and I'm going to go sideways to allow that. You're welcome to put a block underneath your low back or something underneath your neck, or even if you have a bed pillow or two or couch cushions or a bolster, you can rest your knees on whatever those are, but otherwise bend your knees and put your feet on the ground. Take a nice big breath in. Release it. Bring your arms into a T with the palms facing up, and then squiggle your shoulders a little closer to your hips. I'm going to press your feet into the ground and do a little lift of your low back. Tilt your pelvis toward the sky, stretching the low back, and then gently bringing it back to the ground. Another breath in. A full breath out. Now, without lifting your hips off the ground, you're simply going to tilt your pelvis toward the sky and flatten your lower back onto the ground. You've got to use your core muscles for this. The rib cage moves toward the hips. Both feet press fully to the ground if your knees are bent. If they're resting on a pillow, you don't have to put them on the ground. Breathe in and release. Lift the arms up toward the sky so the fingers could kind of tickle those snow clouds if you're in Vermont. Or maybe just clouds or sky. Spread the fingers nice and wide. If you can, go ahead and lift the arms over the head. Backs of the hands might or might not touch the ground. That's okay. We're opening up under the arms, the triceps, the side bodies. And again, we're going to press the low back to the ground and tilt the pelvis, the tailbone toward the sky. You need to activate your hamstrings and your glutes to do that. lift the arms toward the sky. Let them settle into your shoulders. Give yourself a hug. Now consider what's in your head. Do you have judge and jury? Do you have a voice telling you you're not good enough? Is there negative words or thought there? Are there negative words or thought? Observe them. And know that in the vernacular of I don't know how many years ago, that they are not the boss of you. But you acknowledge them because they arose. Now feel any sensations or emotions that you might have. Some might consider them to be in the heart. And again, it doesn't matter what they are. See what arises. Feel what arises. Recognize what arises. And if there's something negative, is there something you can choose to do about that? Coming to your mat could be one of those things. Now the arms are going to drop so that they're somewhere between straight out left and right and by your side. So I don't know how many degrees that is. Some degrees. Not 90 degrees, not 45 degrees, but a little less. You're going to tilt your tailbone back toward the sky. Keep your low back on the ground. Press the big toe mounds of your feet into the earth. This is one of those things that makes you stronger. It supports your spine better. And release. Notice now any sensation right up sort of the top of the belly where the rib cage meets at the center. That's your fire energy, your decisiveness, your confidence. Notice any emotion there or any sensation. Allow it to arise. And choose what you would like to do with that. And now we are going to move into a little rock and roll eventually. But first we're going to take the right knee and gather it in toward the chest. Give it a good squeeze and find some ankle circles. Both directions. Squeeze the toes and then force them wide. Take that 2 more times. Reach that leg long so the heel is moving toward the sky and then the toes move toward the sky. If your left knee just dropped out to the left, see if you can press the big toe mound back into the earth. We'll cross that right ankle above the left knee, a gentle supine figure 4, pressing the right knee away and down, activating the left foot. And again, making sure that the left knee is pointing toward the sky. Draw your belly in and your low back toward the ground. Move into a half happy baby here. Right knee outside your rib cage. Your arm is long inside the knee. And take a hold of the inner or outer edge of your foot and see if you can soften the shoulders toward the ground. And once again, yes, I'm reminding you for the 3rd time, left knee straight toward the sky. We'll cross that knee, the right knee over the left, like you're seated cross-legged. Shift your hips a little to the left, and we'll take a twist to the right. Yes, we're taking a very early supine twist. So if it's feeling a little much, you might come out of it a little bit, or you might unhook your legs. And whatever arises, like, oh, that's not feeling good, you have a choice to adjust. And if the thought and the emotion are, oh, this is joyful, you just stick with it as it is. The sole of the left foot returns to the mat. We shift our hips more toward the center and we unhook the right leg. Left knee gathers in. Give it a good squeeze. Ankle circles. Open and close the toes. Check that right knee. Mine was just dropping out to the right. Extend the left leg toward the sky. Heel first toward the sky, then toes. Dropping the shoulder blades toward the earth, drawing the belly in, just slightly active. Half happy baby. And if you just notice that this side feels tighter or looser than the other, you can acknowledge it, but you don't have to, I don't know, grab onto it and say, ooh, bad thigh or bad hip or whatever. You can adjust. You cannot judge. And supine figure 4 on this side. Left knee crosses right, hips shift a little to the right, and the knees drop to the left for your twist. Let me scoot that right foot back to the mat, shift the hips. Now we come to our roll with it, baby, physically. If you're my age, you might know Steve Winwood, but if you're younger, you might not. All right, the knees gather into the chest. Give them a good squeeze. We'll start with making circles with the knees in the sky. One direction to start, and then the other direction, making sure. I just realized my neck was arched, so my chin was jutting upward, so I just tucked my chin a little bit to protect the neck and the back. Now, we'll rock and roll left and right. You're welcome to do this in a happy baby if you prefer. Feels so nice on the low back. That's a great way to start and end your day. This and or child's pose, especially during some of the more stressful times of the year. Stressful to your body, like it's super cold and wet and slippery out if you're in the snow belt, or holidays, or final exams, or even some of the happier times that we have, like weddings and birthday parties. Sometimes those are stressful. And now you can find yourself either keeping your hands where your knees are, keeping your hands where they are, or bringing them down to the ground to rock and roll forward and backward until you come to a seat. I hope you join me in your seat here. Very, very nice. I'm going to take a moment of pranayama, breath work here, since we didn't start with it. Hands in your lap, the back of the right hand on the palm of the left, and the thumb pads touch. We'll take box breathing to even things out, attain equilibrium. So we're breathing in for 4, then we will retain for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. And we'll do that 3 times. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, retain, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, final. Retain. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Big sigh out. Now, another thing we can do to roll with things is actually to continue some rolling of body parts. So we'll start with the head and neck. So drop your chin. Let it be really heavy. And take a nice big circle, swing, roll all the way around. Shoulder to back to shoulder to chest. 2 more of those. I'm working to the count of 6. It's your choice how fast or slow. Slower is better. And now I move the other way. Second roll. And third roll. Snap, crackle, pop. The chin comes parallel to the earth. And we tip the right ear to the right shoulder. The right arm will come up so that the hand just rests above the ear for a little extra gravity and weight. You might even bring the left hand out to the left and crawl it away from you a little bit. Drop the hand, drop the chin, lift the chin. Left ear, left shoulder. Left hand comes around and up. Maybe the right hand crawls away from you. Drop the hand, drop the chin, lift the chin. I'll look over the right shoulder. Float the left arm up. Get your sitting bones really strong against the earth and your side body super high. And glide the right arm out to the right as you take your tilt, remembering to keep the left sitting bone on the earth. The beautiful opening of the left side of the body all the way to the pinky finger. Rise up. Take cactus-shaped arms and then place your hands behind your head, but the fingertips are closer to the ears than they are the middle of the head. We're going to bring both feet to the ground. Take the left elbow toward the right knee. Twist and dip. Rise back up. Right elbow, left knee. Twist and dip. Rise up. 2 more rounds. Keep the big toe mounds on the earth. Legs cross the awkward way. Left hand drops. Right arm floats high. We scoot the left hand out as we take a tilt to the left. Maintaining connection of the right sitting bone with the earth. This time we rise up, both arms nice and strong. Palms, fingers interlace, and we draw the palms toward the sky. If you'd like to take some cat-cows here, feel free. Working the inner wrist. And hands drop. We're going to find our way into child's, where we'll take a little bit of breath time to consider what arises. Knees nice and wide, big toes touch, forehead on something. That could be a blanket, a rolled up sweaty shirt, maybe hands stacked. Consider something recently or even perhaps now that has arisen in your emotion or thought. Let's call it within the past 24 hours. And without labeling it, just hold it for a second. Choose what you can do about it, if anything, and either set an intention to do or perform that activity. And if there's really nothing you can do to mitigate it, like it's snowing and that makes you unhappy, choose not to be unhappy. It doesn't mean you have to be happy, but say to yourself, whatever happens is okay. It's snowing. That's okay. I'm okay. We're going to move into a tabletop to find what is currently my most favorite stretch. We'll take a couple of cat-cows and or hip circles here. We're going to drop to our forearms, take a couple cat-cows and or hip circles here. Making sure the knees are as wide as the hips. The elbows are aligned there as well, fingers nice and wide, and come into a neutral spine. Now we're going to shift the right leg out to the right. So it's coming exactly to the right. Maybe not measurable, but you're pressing into the outer edge of your foot. And now take very slow cat-cows. Beautiful opening of the inner thigh. It works the IT band a little bit. Ooh, and I just had a beautiful pop in my spine, which I've been trying to get to for 2 days. Neutral spine. Float that leg up. Sweep it all the way around to the left, above the left calf. Point your toes on the right foot and place the top side of the foot onto the ground. It should be well outside your mat. And you're going to go ahead and glide. You might need to move your arms back. Your right front hip toward your left heel. This is not pigeon. You're still imagining that the palms and fingers are drawing the mat backward. And if you're not feeling much in your left glutes, go ahead and tuck your right toes under. Float the knee off the mat and reach the heel way, 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 way back. If that's too much, you can choose to adapt. We're going to return to our forearm tabletop with our right leg lifted. Square up your hips, bend your right knee, and pump that leg slowly up and down, squeezing your heel toward your buttocks. And then on a breath out, the knee comes toward the right bicep. So you're really rounding your back. And we return to our forearm tabletop. Set yourself up. This time the left leg shoots out to the left. We balance the hips. We send the energy to the outer edge of that foot. We move into our cats and cows. You might rock forward and backward. That feels good. Feels more opening. So for some, might not feel that good. So you can choose not to do it. But first, see what arises. Feel it. Stick with it for a second. Lift that left leg off the ground. Sweep it behind. And then over the right calf as far as you can outside the mat. Front of your left hip glides toward your right heel. Arms might need to come back for that. Now in my case, what has arisen is a little pinch in the right side, right glutes. I don't know if it's the large one, the middle one, or the baby one. Papa bear, mama bear, baby bear. But I'm going to sit with it for a minute. I'm going to breathe into that area. I choose that it is not painful, because it's not. So I choose to stay in it. Just a teeny bit of discomfort. Arms move forward. We float that leg. Hips are squared up. We bend the left knee and pump that leg up and down, squeezing the heel toward the glutes. Working the hamstrings, working the buttocks. Knee comes toward the tricep, same arm, same side. We extend and we return. I'm going to walk the hands back. If you have trouble bending your knees 90 degrees, more than 90 degrees, you might fold over your mat to put your knees on it, or place something under your knees, or even a rolled up hoodie or blanket behind your knees. For a moment, we'll take sort of I'll call it a tiny mountain pose, a hill pose, because we're on our knees. The tops of the feet are on the ground. Our hands face forward, and our hips and knees and shoulders are all aligned. Notice what arises here. Take a little inventory, maybe, to see what's going on in the thighs, the hips, the pelvis, the belly, just under the rib cage, the breastbone, the heart and throat, the forehead and the crown of the head. Maybe it's something physical. Maybe it's something emotional. Just allow to arise whatever it is that arises. This is one way we get to compassion, recognizing that others have the same experiences, and especially easy enough to consider anyone else practicing with this video might be feeling some of the same things you are. We choose our response. I'm going to take a little back bend now. So bring the heels of the hands to the low back. I'm going to tuck my feet under, my toes under. I'm just going to go ahead and shift the thighs and the hips forward a little bit. Press the flesh on your back down, and then lift the torso. I feel a little tight in the shoulders, but not tight enough that it's painful. So I'm going to use this to open up my shoulders a little bit. And then we're going to move into an actual shoulder opening. And then we bring everything back. You're welcome to sit on your heels or sit on your feet. Cat and cow. We'll take that again, kneeling up, untucking the feet. Heels of the hands at the low back, press the bottom down, shift the hips forward. Extend the torso, lift the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades, maybe the head drops back. And then slowly stack everything. Come back onto your heels. We'll take a little windmill. Left and right, if you can slap anywhere, especially if you are not a breast cancer patient at this time, then you can hit your lymph nodes as well. And we sit. Breathe in. And a full breath out. For our shoulders, we're going to come back to a tabletop and take a tabletop twist. So the right arm will float high. Mine doesn't go all that high, but high enough. Sneak the left hand forward a little bit and then smoothly thread the needle, the right hand and arm behind the left elbow. Maybe your head comes to the mat. Maybe the left arm gets long. Maybe that's enough, or perhaps you extend your left leg. You might even float the left leg high. Left hand returns near the face or under the shoulder, and we unravel from this posture. If you need a little cat-cow or hip circle in between, take it here. And once more, left arm high. So the opposite. Right hand might scoot forward a little bit and thread the needle side of the head to the earth. Remain as you are, or lengthen your right leg, potentially float it. And we unravel from this. And come back down. We're going to tuck our toes, walk our hands forward, and take a down dog just for a few breaths. You can always remain in tabletop. Rise onto your tippy toes, press your chest toward your thighs, bring the heels back toward the mat. It's a direction, not a destination. Lift onto the tippy toes again, press the chest toward the thighs. This time bend the knees, look past your hands and make your way to them, a forward fold at the front of your mat. Check that your toes are evenly placed. A little sway. Hands to your shins just below your knees. Draw your belly in. Exhale, lift halfway up along flat back. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale. Exhale, slowly rise up. Arms will sweep overhead. Samastihi, hands at your heart. We'll take that again. Hands drop. Inhale, arms sweep out and up overhead. Breathe out for a forward fold. Breathe out, half lift. Remain here for 2 breaths, drawing the belly in and the shoulders back. Breathe out, forward fold. Inhale, float all the way up to standing. One more time, exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Breathe out and fold, step back for your high plank. Maybe drop your knees for a low plank. Nose, chin, chest, come down for little baby back bend. And then we move in to downward dog again. We breathe in and out. Come forward to your hands once again. Take any bind that feels good for you. I'm going to take a yogi toe lock. Peace fingers around the big toe, half lift. So we're lengthening the legs, the heels into the earth, the hips reaching behind us, and we fold. We'll rise up to stand. And this time, as the hands come to the heart, we're going to sit into not a super deep chair. We'll float the arms in front so that they're parallel and then lock them back into our shoulders. This might be plenty for you. You're sitting in chair, you're imagining your thighs are spinning together, imagining you're holding a PT ball or a block between your thighs. We're going to draw the belly inward like a scoop, the rib cage toward the hips, and round the shoulders. Rise up. Exhale, hands behind you. Lengthen the arms, come back into your chair. Open up the heart. Draw the belly in and up. Energy in your heels. And with bent knees, forward fold. Maybe your bind remains. Maybe the hands float from the back. Maybe they do not. Maybe one more round of kneeling postures. Hands drop to the earth. Left foot back to the back of the mat. Set yourself up for your runner's lunge and into a twist. Left hand down, right arm high. You're welcome to take a half bind here. But either way, you're going to slowly drop your back knee into the earth and untuck your toes, maintaining your twist. We'll move into a half split, extending your right leg, reaching your heart like you're reaching it past the front of your mat. Whatever arises here, maybe you have this compulsion to reach your head toward your shin. And what you can choose to do is not do that. You want a nice long spine here. So if you're getting an opening in your hamstrings, if you have a nice long spine, if you have an active belly, you are doing great. So those are all the things you want to check. We're going to scoot that foot back. I need to put my right hand inside my right foot for that. And come into Parsvottanasana, tucking the back toes, lifting the hips, and hopping that left foot about one full step behind and to the left of your right foot. Hips square up, head is loose, shake it, nod it, open and close your jaw. Step forward, rise to stand. Exhale, forward fold. Right foot to the back of the mat, runner's lunge. Take your time to set it up. Belly energy lifts from your thigh. Heart forward. We'll move into our twist. or half bind. I feel the twist more in my left thigh than the bind, so I'm going to keep that there and then drop my back knee. You're going to join me and untuck your toes. Left hand down for a half split. And what arises here? Judgment, words, thoughts, emotions. Choose to allow them to arise. And rather than choosing to sweep them under the mat, you can choose to be with them. You can choose to respond to them in a way that negates them or mitigates them. And we move into our Parsvottanasana, our last standing posture. We'll step forward. I said last standing posture, but I'm going to put us in chair one more time. Chair pose. And our twist, left arm forward, right arm behind. Try and keep your hips square. Gaze is toward the back thumb. Arms forward, left arm back. Gaze toward the back thumb. Rise to stand and a forward fold. We're going to step the left foot back, drop the left knee, and scoot the right foot over to the left, coming into a pigeon pose. Your right shin does not have to be completely parallel to the front of your mat. You're going to scoot that left leg straight out of the left hip. Maybe you place something underneath your right hip to find equilibrium. I'm going to stack my fists. What arises here? Do you choose to simply be with it, to allow it? If it's pain, do you choose to mitigate it by adjusting something? If it's emotion, what do you choose to do? We're going to lean over onto the right hip, swing the left leg around for stacked logs. You can also take a half lotus if you have it. You can just cross your ankles. You can always put a pillow or something between the knee and the foot. We sit nice and tall. If your shoulders are up around your ears, loosen them away. And now left shin in front, lean into your left hip and swing your right leg around. It might not be graceful, mine is not, but we're finding our way into our pigeon pose here. My knee tapped onto a seam on the floor. We'll shift onto the left hip. Swing the right leg around for stacked logs on this side. And we'll end as we began. So we're going to find our way onto our backs, knees bent or not, pillow or bolster under your knees or not, arms out in a T. If you like a little twist, you can always bring your feet as wide as your mat and your knees together, and then slowly windshield wiper the legs left and right. If you prefer a happy baby or virtual legs up the wall, go ahead and take that. Or you can just hug your knees in and find circles with the knees or a little rock left and right. Then we shall meet in Shavasana. And again, you do what works for your body here. Not everyone is comfortable fully on their backs. Some of them need support. Big, big, big breath in. Generous breath out. Deep in the breath once again, reawaken the body. Maybe there's some little movement or big movement. You can bend your knees one at a time and either rock and roll to a seat or take a little interstitial by rolling onto your side and coming up. We'll close our practice with the sound of Om, reminding ourselves first that nothing is permanent. If you'd like to join in an Om, silent or otherwise, exhale all the air out of your lungs. Breathe in completely. Knuckles right to the center of the forehead. Life is precious. Nothing is permanent. What goes around comes around. And we help in negating or minimizing suffering by cultivating positive attitude, positive heart, positive mind. Namaste. Terrific to have you here with me practicing today. I swear I can feel a little bit of that energy coming across the internet. I believe this practice will remain as is into the new year. And also we will continue our in studio practices as well. So I hope, in case I don't see you or you don't see me, that all of the love that you deserve is yours throughout this holiday season. And hey, come back. My name is Karen, coming to you from Salt and Sand Studios. Have a good one.